Hey there, it's Amy from Buttercake. In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to make these raspberry almond cookie bars. That's a mouthful. Pun totally intended. Anyways, let's jump into this tutorial. I'm going to get started making that raspberry compote. This is a combination of sugar, granulated sugar, and some cornstarch. It's going to go into a small bowl, and then you want to whisk those together so that it helps break up any lumps of cornstarch that might be present. Then that way you don't have a lumpy raspberry compote as your final product. So give that a good whisk, making sure it's nice and smooth. Then you can get a small saucepan onto your stove and put the raspberries in there. These are frozen raspberries. You can use fresh raspberries. I actually prefer frozen because the fruit is broken down already and it cooks better. It's easier to cook. So into that goes our sugar and cornstarch mixture. And we're just going to give it a little toss with a spatula here to get it all coated. And you can put it on medium heat at this point. You can leave it on medium heat for a few minutes, basically until the raspberries thaw and start to release their juices, which you can see here. And it's becoming kind of a slurry, cornstarch and liquid, but it needs to cook for a while. So coat it and let the sugar and cornstarch kind of, get mixed in with the liquid. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And then you want to put it on medium heat and just let it go until you start to see nice little bubbles around the edges like this. It only takes a few minutes, so keep an eye on it. Don't go off and do a 30-minute chore somewhere else. I'm giving it a good stir there. And the best way to check whether or not this is done is to take your spatula and just run it through the center. And if you can kind of see a path through the filling right there, you can see the bottom of the pan, then you know it's ready to go. Transfer it to another container and let it cool completely. Then you can get started on the base for these bars, which is a sugar cookie dough. So that is butter, cream cheese, sugar, and a little bit of baking powder in my mixer there. And I'm going to cream those together until they are well combined. We're not really adding volume at this point. We're just making sure that they're mixed. Again, this is a cookie dough, not a cake batter. So once those are creamed, gonna go ahead and turn off the mixer and give it a good scrape. I took the paddle off of my mixer there to scrape the bowl out. Works super well if you have a very small amount of something. Anyways, I popped that back on and adding in the egg and vanilla here and putting that back on medium speed to get that combined well. Look at that, looks so nice, so smooth. If there's a couple little lumps of cream cheese still left, don't worry, it's totally fine. Once you add in the flour, it'll fully combine. And that is what we are going to be doing here at this point after scraping the bowl. Again, using the paddle. You can use a spatula if you prefer, totally up to you, but I just like doing it like this because there's not a whole lot in my bowl. And there you can see I'm adding all of the all-purpose flour all at once and doing a quick pulsing motion with my KitchenAid there. So just a real fast on and off to get the flour partially incorporated so that it doesn't fly up out of the bowl and create a cloud and make a huge mess, which can happen with KitchenAids. Actually my older KitchenAid doesn't do that, but I think the newer ones are just more high-powered. Anyways, you just want to combine that until it creates a cookie dough. Don't want to over mix it at this point. Right there is a nice sticky dough. Perfect. And I don't recommend letting it chill at all. Just go ahead and get it right into your casserole dish, or you can use a cake pan. This is a 9x13 casserole dish. And I'm just buttering the bottom and sides with just a paper towel and like half a tablespoon of butter. No big deal. And then taking a piece of parchment paper here to fit this in the bottom and up the sides so that we can pull the cookies out later. Just cutting the edges. You kind of want at least a 1-inch overhang around all corners, and then cut in the corners to the bottom corner of the dish. That was a mouthful again. Lots of those in this video. You'll see what I mean. Yeah, so it fits nicely down in there, and then your edges will fit perfectly into the corners. There you go. Overlap it and make sure that you smooth it out. That butter is going to help the parchment actually stick to the sides and the bottom. So bonus. Then once you have that prepared, go ahead and start putting the cookie dough in the bottom. I'm just kind of smushing it out into a disc a little bit, just a very rough, flattened piece of dough, and then putting it down on the bottom and then pushing it out until it's mostly even the whole way over the bottom of the dish. And then you can actually, this is a really soft dough, so you can just take your fingers or your thumb and smooth it out. This way, when you cut into the bar, you'll have a nice smooth base. It won't be super uneven and it'll bake evenly as well. Then we want to get our middle layer going. This is just like a vanilla batter situation. More like a Blondie, basically. So that's melted butter there, and granulated sugar is going to go in with that, along with leavener and salt. Going to whisk that together. You want to whisk it really good at this point. It's going to kind of look separated. That's okay. Once you add in the eggs, it's really going to come together, but just do your best here at this point. Then one at a time, whisking vigorously, get those eggs in there. You want to make sure that you really whisk the eggs in here. So I do stop whisking at a couple points just to visually look at it, make sure there's no, pockets of egg yolk or egg white. You can see right there's some egg white around the edges of the bowl, so we just keep whisking. Added the vanilla there for some flavor, and a little bit of almond extract as well. That's where the almond flavor comes in. Giving it a really good whisk here just to make sure it's fully combined. We don't want any bits of unmixed raw egg. Then the flour goes in. We're going to combine this just until all of the flour is dampened. You don't want to overmix this part either. It tends to get a little dried out. So you can see here, it looks a lot like lemon curd, but it's supposed to. Then as it sets a little bit, it does start to thicken up. That's okay. Go ahead and get that on the bottom crust, and we're going to just smooth that out. You can use an offset spatula, or you can use a spoon, whatever you have available. You just want to spread it out as evenly as possible because it is a thicker batter. You don't want thick bars on one side and thin on another. So try to get this layer pretty even. And then we're going to do the raspberry part. Oh, this is fun. Look how beautiful that raspberry filling is. So shiny. Just a zigzag motion back and forth. If you don't have a piping bag, that is all right. Just drizzle it over there with a spoon. However you see fit, just as long as it goes on there. And yes, use all of it. It seems like a lot, but it's definitely needed. Trust me. You're not going to regret putting that much raspberry on there. Taking my spatula and doing a zigzag in the opposite direction of the way that I put the raspberry. I'm just going around the edges just to make it look a little bit nicer. And beautiful. Look at that. Finally, some sliced almonds. These are raw sliced almonds. They have not been toasted yet. This bakes for a very long time in the oven, so they will toast up nice and brown by the time you pull the bars out. There, it's ready to go into the oven. This is going to bake at 350 degrees Fahrenheit for 50 to 60 minutes. Yes, you heard me. Trust me, totally worth it. There's the final product. They do jiggle a little bit in the center, kind of like the consistency of a cheesecake. You don't want it to look super liquid, but a little bit of jiggle is totally normal. Let them cool completely before removing them from your pan, and they pull right out in a big slab with that parchment paper. You can go ahead and cut them. These bars store great at room temperature in an airtight container for about 3 days. I know it looks like a lot, but trust me, you will go through them because my small family of 3 ate this entire slab of bars in 3 days. Yes, we did. It was delicious. I hope you guys enjoy. Thanks so much for watching to this point. If you make these, let me know what you think down in the comments. Everything you need is in the description of the video. Take care, you guys. Bye-bye.